Hey guys, it's Caroline. Been a while since I've made a video. I apologize. I was really busy and then really sick. But today's video is about going back to school. And I know you don't really want to think about going back to school if you have to go back to school. And if you don't go to school and you work or something else, then you do that all the time and you don't really have to think about time off and then going back. So this is specifically for college and university. Things to bring and things not to bring for living on campus. Now, there are some pretty self-explanatory things. I mean, you want to bring your bed sheets and your alarm clock and school supplies, your laptop, whatever. I'm sure you're not going to forget those things. Here are some things you might not know. Dorm rooms have really, really bad lighting. So for me, that's not such a big problem because I'm not in my dorm all that often, but for some people, it's a really big problem, and you might want to consider bringing in a lamp. You don't want any house fires. My dorm, my freshman year, had quite a few fires from people's lamps catching on fire because they weren't using the right light bulb for the lamp. So just make sure your light bulb isn't too bright. But if you're going to be in your dorm room a lot, believe me, those lights are going to give you a headache. They're the same lights you've had in your high school. They kind of flicker and not too fun. Also, you want to bring a fridge and a microwave, usually. Some schools will give them to you in your room, and some schools you need to have a fridger-wave or whatever you call it when it's half and half. So you need to look up what your school allows and what it doesn't. But let me tell you, my fridge was a lifesaver last year. I'm a vegetarian, so eating in the dining hall some days is not a very successful venture. So I always made sure to have things like carrots and apples in my fridge for when the dining hall sucked. Flip-flops. I can't stress that enough. Last year, I think I went through 3 pairs of flip-flops only for going to the shower. I don't wear them out. I wear sneakers and stuff most of the time, but the showers are disgusting. If you're lucky, they'll get washed once a week. Now, that seems like pretty good, but when you consider there's gonna be like 10 showers for 80 girls or 3 showers for 30 girls, you don't want to forget a first aid kit. Band-aids, you know, you don't really want to take a trip over to health services just for a band-aid. They're going to make you have an appointment. They're not just going to give you one, which sounds really dumb, but, you know, what can you do? And also, I'd say a water filter. Tap water, especially at my school, is kind of gross, so at least having it filtered makes me feel better about drinking it. And you don't want to always be forking over $2 here, $2 there for a bottle of water. Something that I'd say you don't need to bring is a printer. Now, this can be really handy, especially if you're an English major or a major that involves a lot of printing, but I've never really needed my printer, even in college writing 1 and 2. My school, my first year had free printing. My second year, you had to pay for printing 10 cents a page, but they gave you, I don't remember if it was $10 or $15 free. And you might as well use that. It's included in your tuition and fees, so otherwise you're just out $10. So having a printer just takes up space. Same thing with your stereo. I love my stereo. I use it all the time when I'm home. It's something that I just really enjoy. But having your big stereo is going to take up all your free counter space. You usually have a desk, a dresser, and a closet, and your bed. And that's going to take up your entire free space you have, and you really might want to use it for other things. Next thing you don't want to bring is too much clothing, shoes, whatever. You don't have a lot of space in a dorm room, so you want to try to limit it. And most people will go home for Thanksgiving, for winter, for spring, for summer. Even if you have summer classes and you live on campus, you'll still have a week or two where you'll go home. So you can bring new clothes, bring old clothes back home, whatever. If you think you're going to lose weight, wait until you actually do lose weight. If you think you're going to gain weight, wait until you actually do gain weight, because otherwise it's just taking up a lot of space when you don't have a lot of space of storage. For school supplies, you don't need to bring everything in the kitchen sink like you might have had to in high school. If I bring this one little pack of crayons is all the coloring supplies I'm bringing. I bring a tape dispenser, a stapler for assignments. You want to staple them together. You might lose credit if you don't. Also, you know, pens and pencils, paper, whatever, all those things you're going to need. But all the bells and whistles, poster boards, markers, you don't really need all of that stuff. Part 2, dorm life. I'm only going to include one thing about commuting. if you're a commuter, you want to get there early. Consider signing up for morning classes even if you're not a morning person, because parking spots will fill up fast. And believe me, satellite lots are a pain in the butt. You do not want to have to park in a satellite lot. So that's my tip for commuters. Even if you don't take morning classes, get there early. You can, if you brought money for breakfast, you can go to Dunkin' Donuts and hang out for a little while, or you can go to the library and get some work done, but you want to make sure you get a parking spot. The first thing, if you're in college or university, no more parents looking over your shoulder. It's pretty exciting. You can do whatever you want, but at the same time, no more parents looking over your shoulder to nag you to make sure you're getting the stuff done you need to do. You have to remember, first and foremost, that you're a student. You want to get all of your work done, and you don't want to fall behind. So, that being said, you're gonna go to parties probably, you're gonna stay out late, you're gonna pull all-nighters hanging out with your friends, whatever. But be careful. If you're going to a frat party, remember what frat you're at, remember to tell someone where you're going, and tell them you'll check in with them before bed at midnight or 2 in the morning, whenever you're going home. And if you go home with a cute boy or girl, even if you're not planning on, you know, doing the hanky-panky, you might want to tell someone, hey, I'm not going to be home tonight, but this is where I'm going, because shit happens. Now at my school, the Greek life, frats and sororities aren't affiliated with the school, which means they have no codes of conduct. If your Greek life is affiliated with your school, then they probably have rules. They're gonna do things to make sure you're safe and you don't get date raped, because they want their school funding. I mean, it's all about money. So just be careful, especially if you're going over with friends or someone you don't know. My next tip is to branch out, try new foods, do new experiences, say yes to things you might not always say yes to. Your parents aren't looking over your shoulder, they're not going to tell you what's right and what's wrong. Try to go with your gut instinct. If something feels sketchy, it probably is. But if it's just some of your friends and they're saying, let's go try this new restaurant, say yes. If you don't have money, it's okay to say no. Don't be embarrassed to say no. But you want to try new things. I mean, that's what college is all about. But at the same time, you need to know your limits. If people are asking you to do things you're not comfortable with, you need to know how to say no. This is something that I've struggled with. You just want to know, you know, what's okay, what's not okay, who you are, who you aren't. Don't go trying heroin if you don't want to try heroin. I don't support doing heroin, but if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it whether I tell you to or not. If you're really stressed because you have a big exam coming up the next day, then it's okay to say no, to stay home and study, or to write your paper. But if you're really stressed because you have a big exam coming up in a week, maybe you might want to say yes and take some time off to just relax and hang out, because all work and no fun is no fun. You're gonna be miserable, and you don't want to be miserable. Some schools have really great dining services, but some schools, they're really horrible. My school is pretty horrible. A lot of times I can't eat at the dining hall, and if I can eat, it's not the greatest and I don't really want to. Try to keep things in your dorm rooms, be it energy bars or carrots and hummus or Easy Mac and ramen noodles. Whatever floats your boat. Just always have a few things in your dorm. You don't want to go hungry. If you have something that calms you down, don't give it up. If you like to go to the gym, make time to go to the gym. If you like to read, make time to read. Whatever you like to do, you're gonna get caught up in the hustle and bustle, classes, work, friends, this, that, the other thing. But sometimes you need to take some me time. The next thing I can't stress enough. If you live on campus, you want to get involved. I know everyone tells you to get involved, to do things, but it really is so great. There's clubs and activities, even just meeting people, hanging out, going to the local coffee shop, whatever. There's always ways to meet people and get involved, because if you don't have friends, you're not going to like it there very much. And the best way to make friends is by doing things. And there's pretty much a club for everyone. It doesn't matter. I like to go to the theater club. We have Pride Alliance, which is a gay-straight alliance, basically. There's African-American organizations. There's African-American women who want to be doctors. I can't even think of all the clubs off the top of my head. And in addition to clubs, at the rec center they do dance lessons, yoga, karate. Even sometimes in the common room you'll find people playing board games, or at the library there might be things going on. Humans vs. Zombies is something that goes on a lot of campuses, and they're all great ways to meet people. Don't think that you can't do something. And on the same vein as that, remember that going once is not a commitment. If you go to a club and you don't like it, you don't have to go back. If you do something and you don't like it, you don't have to keep doing it. If you take a class and you don't like it, you can drop the class and take a different class. Don't be afraid to try things just because you might not like it. A lot of offices on campus are there to help you. Don't forget about that. There's health services, so you don't have to find time to go to your regular doctor. There's, I don't know, the tutoring center. They'll help you if you don't understand something for one of your classes. There's the Office of Disability Services if you are on crutches or in a wheelchair, or if you're autistic, and they'll help you. And there's so many offices that can help you if you don't know what you're doing or if you need help for something. A lot of offices are really unfair, so keep copies of everything. I can't tell you how many times financial aid has tried to be like, oh, we didn't really promise you that extra financial aid. And I just pull out my paper and I'm like, yes you did, yes you did, just give me my money and we're all okay. Take advantage of your academic advisor. They know the right people to get in contact with when something's wrong. They know how to help you figure out what classes you need to take, when you need to take them. They are one of the greatest assets you can find. Part 3, classes. You'll probably take anywhere from 4 to 6 classes. Usually 12 credits is the minimum for full-time. A sample first year semester for an incoming freshman will be something like college writing and calculus on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. First year seminar on Tuesdays, and a physics with a lab and history on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So it doesn't sound like that much, but it ends up being a lot of work. They say for every 1 hour in class, you spend between 1 and 3 hours outside of class preparing. Now this is going to change depending on your professor and depending on how well your familiarity is with the subject already. For some people, they can sit down and write an essay in 10 minutes and be done. For other people, that same essay might take them 10 hours. Some classes won't require you to do homework. At least try a couple of the assignments or a couple parts of the assignment anyway. You might not know you're struggling if you don't do the homework. Nothing's worse than thinking you're on top of the game when you're really not. Sometimes your classes won't require you to show up to class. Go anyway. A lot of times the professors will be able to put a name to a face and whatever, and when it comes down to it, showing up is always better than not showing up. At the end of the day, when the semester's said and done, say you have an 89.3 and having an 89.5 will make it so you have an A- instead of a B+. If your professor knows you've shown up to class, he'll probably give you that extra 2 points to give you the A instead of the B. One time, one of my classes, attendance wasn't mandatory, but I was one of 4 or 5 people who showed up the day before the exam. He gave us an extra 10 points on our exam just for showing up to class. Stay organized. This is my #1 tip. Now, I don't go back to school for about a month, a little less than a month, but I'm already getting organized. I'm going to show you my sample agenda. Agendas are the biggest tool you can utilize. Believe me, it will be your best friend. So, on the little month-long pages, I've already written in last day to drop a class, reading day, which is the day before finals start, and then on my little pages, I've already written in all of my classes, color-coded them. That sounds really dorky, but writing things down in different colors or different highlighters, different methods, really does help you remember them on notes. That's something I learned in one of my gen eds, psychology, and it's something that I really think is true. So I do all of my notes in different colors just randomly, and I color code things to make it easier just for me. That might not be the way that it's easier for you, so figure out what works for you. A lot of classes require an online component. Whatever you do, do the online component early. I can't tell you how many times that something's gone wrong and I haven't been able to turn it in, or I haven't been able to finish the assignment, and then you're just kind of shit out of luck. What can you do? A lot of professors are really fantastic, and they'll at least give you partial credit if you explain to them what happened, but some professors won't care. You didn't get it in on time, doesn't matter, no partial credit, you're out of luck. Don't procrastinate anything you have to turn in online, because something will inevitably go wrong and you will be screwed.